Valentina Totti had stopped counting days in the shipping container. Time dissolved into heartbeats, each slower than the last, each breath thinner. The container was 8 feet of darkness and rust, the air thick with her own blood's metallic taste. She lay on cold steel, wrists raw from zip ties she'd stopped fighting days ago. 3 weeks, maybe 4. She'd lost track after the water ran out. The darkness was absolute. It turned her mind against itself, pulling up memories she'd buried because remembering hurt worse than dying. And she remembered him. If you're ready to hear the whole story, click subscribe and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. Tomorrow, I will be bringing you another story just as beautiful as this one, and you don't want to miss it. Now let's get into it. 3 years ago, the restaurant where Giorgio planned to propose. She'd seen the ring box outline in his jacket. "I can't marry you," she'd said. His face, beautiful, open, so full of love, crumbled. "What? Valentina, what happened? What did I do?" "Nothing. Everything." He'd loved her, and that made him a target. She'd walked away, left him to save his life. Her father had made it clear: leave Giorgio Lonza, or watch him die. She'd killed herself to keep him alive. Now, bleeding out in the dark, the irony was almost funny. She'd sacrificed everything, and she was dying anyway. "I'm sorry, Giorgio," she whispered to his ghost. Her heartbeat stuttered, slowing. Then, voices outside. Men shouting. Metal scraping metal. The lock was being cut. Valentina's eyes flew open. Her father's men, coming back to finish her. Light exploded into the container. She gasped, barely a sound, her vocal cords destroyed. A silhouette filled the doorway. Massive, commanding, expensive coat, broad shoulders, the posture of someone who ruled, not followed. "Boss, it's empty," someone called outside. "Just another wait. There's something." The figure stepped inside. Heavy boots on metal, coming closer. Valentina couldn't move, could only stare as he crouched beside her, light finally catching his face. The world stopped. No. Sharp cheekbones, dark eyes, the face she'd memorized, now harder, colder, aged by violence and power. "Giorgio Lonza. Check the manifests," he said, voice low and ruthless. "Find who shipped this." His eyes dropped to her face. He froze. His expression, cold, deadly, shattered, reformed in a horror. "No," he breathed, destroyed. "No, no, no." He fell to his knees, hands hovering over her like she'd vanish if he touched her. Tears cut down his face. "Valentina." His voice broke. "Dio mio, Valentina." She whispered. Giorgio, the most dangerous man she'd ever known, broke completely, gathering her dying body into his arms. Her sacrifice had meant nothing. He'd become exactly what she'd feared, and seeing him again, even dying, felt like coming home. Have you ever sacrificed everything for someone, only to wonder if leaving hurt them more than staying? Drop a comment. Let's talk about love and impossible choices. Giorgio couldn't breathe. The woman in his arms, broken, blood-crusted, barely alive, was impossible. A ghost. A hallucination born from 3 years of rage and whiskey and wondering why she destroyed him. But ghosts didn't feel this light, this fragile. "Get the medic." His voice tore through the shipyard. Now, his men scattered. Giorgio didn't care, didn't see them, saw only her. Valentina's face, gaunt and pale, those green eyes he'd tried to forget flickering with recognition and something that looked like fear. Of him. "Don't." Her voice was ruined gravel. "You weren't supposed to find me." The words hit like bullets. "Shut up," he choked out, hands shaking as he tried to assess her injuries without hurting her more. Broken ribs, dehydration, infected wounds. Christ, how long had you been in here? "Just don't talk. Don't you dare die on me." "Giorgio." She coughed, blood flecking her lips. Her hand, so small, so cold, lifted his face, touched his cheek like she couldn't believe he was real. "I'm sorry. I said don't talk." But his voice broke, and he was crying, actually crying, for the first time since the night she left. 3 years of ice in his chest melting into agony. Save your strength. You're not dying. I won't let you. Her eyes searched his face. Found something there that made fresh tears slide down her temples. You changed, she whispered. You're everything you were afraid I'd become. Bitterness flooded his mouth. Yeah, congratulations. You left to save me, and it destroyed who I was. She flinched like he'd struck her. The medic arrived, Dan with the emergency kit, already moving. Boss, we need to move her now. Then move. Giorgio scooped her up, cradling her against his chest. She weighed nothing. He could feel every bone. My car. Now. As he carried her from the container, from the metal coffin someone had locked her in, Valentina's head lolled against his shoulder. Her lips moved against his neck. Still love you, she breathed. So quiet he almost missed it. Never stopped. Then she went limp. Valentina. He was running, shouting, his whole world narrowing to the flutter of her pulse against his palm. Stay with me. Stay with me, damn you. But she was already gone. Unconscious or worse. He couldn't tell. The woman who'd shattered him was dying in his arms. And Giorgio understood with perfect, terrible clarity. If she died, whatever humanity he had left died with her. He'd burn the entire world down to keep her breathing, starting with whoever put her in that container. Valentina woke to white. White walls. White sheets. White light bleeding through gauze curtains. Everything sterile and soft and wrong because the last thing she remembered was darkness and cold metal. And Giorgio. She jerked upright, and agony exploded through her ribs. Don't. His voice came from across the room. Flat. Cold. You'll tear the stitches. Valentina's head whipped toward the sound. He sat in a leather chair by the window, still wearing the same blood-stained shirt from how long ago? His hair was a mess, jaw dark with stubble, eyes red-rimmed but sharp, watching her like she was evidence at a crime scene. Not like he'd held her while she died. Where? Her throat was raw. A glass of water appeared on the nightstand, placed there by a nurse who materialized and vanished like smoke. Valentina drank, hands shaking. Where am I? Private medical facility. My doctor, my security. He leaned back, expression unreadable. You've been unconscious for 3 days. Broken ribs, punctured lung, severe malnutrition, infection. Doctor says you're lucky to be alive. Lucky. Right. You should have let me die, she whispered. Something dangerous flashed in his eyes. Should I? Yes. Why? He stood, prowled closer, and Valentina's heart hammered because this Giorgio, cold, predatory, controlled, was nothing like the man she'd left. Because it's easier than explaining why you walked out 3 years ago, why you vanished without a word, why I found you dying in a shipping container like garbage. Each question was a knife. Giorgio. No. He stopped at the foot of her bed. You don't get to Giorgio me. You don't get to look at me with those eyes like I'm supposed to forget. His hands gripped the bed rail. My men want answers. Who did this? Why? Where you've been? I can't. Can't or won't. His voice dropped, lethal. Because here's what I know. Someone tried to kill you. Someone locked you in a container on a route that ends at my port. Either you're bait, or collateral, or someone wanted to find you. He leaned in. So which is it, Valentina? What's the play? There's no play. Tears burned her eyes. I never wanted you to find me. Yeah, you made that clear 3 years ago. He straightened, face shuddering. Get some rest. We'll talk when you can stand without bleeding. He turned to leave. Wait, her voice cracked. Please, don't go. Giorgio paused at the door, shoulders rigid. Didn't turn around. You left first, he said quietly. Remember? The door closed with a soft click. Valentina stared at white walls and cried for everything they'd lost. The doctor discharged her after 2 weeks with strict orders. Bed rest, no stress, follow-up appointments. Giorgio ignored the bed rest part. You're staying with me, he announced, already having his men pack the few belongings they'd given her. Clothes, toiletries, nothing personal because she had nothing left. Valentina, still weak but standing, shook her head. I can't. Wasn't a question. He didn't look at her, signing discharge papers with brutal efficiency. You have no money, no home, and whoever put you in that container is still out there. You stay where I can see you. Giorgio, please. Would you prefer I put you in a safe house with guards you don't know?" Now he looked at her, eyes hard. "Because those are your options. My home, or a cage. Some choice." 20 minutes later, his car pulled through gates that opened to an estate that stole her breath. Modern, sprawling, surrounded by manicured gardens. The kind of place she'd once imagined them sharing. Before everything went to hell. "Guest wing, east side," Giorgio said as they entered marble-floored halls that echoed. "Your room has a lock. Use it if it makes you feel safer." Safer. From him. The words he didn't say hung heavy. Her room was beautiful. Cream and gold, bay windows overlooking rose gardens, an in-soot bathroom bigger than her old apartment. Everything perfect and cold. Meals at 8, 1, and 7. Giorgio continued from the doorway, not entering. "Cook will accommodate restrictions. My office is off limits. So is the north wing." Questions. Valentina turned to face him. "Why are you doing this?" "Doing what?" "Helping me. You hate me." Something flickered in his expression. Pain, quickly buried. "I don't hate you, Valentina." His voice went rough. "I hate that I can't." He left before she could respond. Days bled together. Valentina healed in luxury and isolation. Giorgio was everywhere and nowhere. She'd see him in the gardens during her morning walks, feel his eyes on her from his office window, find meals he'd ordered specifically for her recovery appearing like clockwork. But he never spoke to her, never came close, until the nightmare started. 1 week in, Valentina woke screaming, trapped in the container again, darkness crushing her lungs. Can't breathe, can't breathe. Her door crashed open. Giorgio burst in, weapon drawn, scanning for threats. Found only her, tangled in sheets, sobbing, clawing at her throat. Hey, you're safe." He was beside her instantly, gun discarded, hands hovering. "Valentina, look at me. You're not there. You're here. You're safe. Can't breathe." "Yes, you can. With me." "In." He breathed deep. "Out." "Come on, Bellissima with me." Bellissima. Beautiful. He hadn't called her that in 3 years. She focused on his voice, matched his breathing. Slowly, the panic receded. When she could see clearly again, Giorgio was sitting on the edge of her bed, close but not touching, eyes full of concern he couldn't quite hide. "Better?" he asked softly. She nodded, exhausted. "This happened often?" "Every night since." She couldn't finish. His jaw clenched. "I'll have the doctor prescribe." "Don't go." The words escaped before she could stop them. "Please, just stay. Until I fall asleep." She expected refusal. Expected the cold mask to slam back down. Instead, Giorgio kicked off his shoes and sat back against her headboard, careful not to touch her. "Sleep," he said quietly. "I'm not going anywhere." Valentina's eyes drifted closed, and for the first time in weeks, felt safe. When she woke at dawn, he was still there, head tilted back, asleep in an uncomfortable position, one hand resting on the bed between them. Like even unconscious, he was guarding her. The nightmares became routine. So did Giorgio. Every night, like clockwork, he'd appear when she woke screaming. Never asked permission anymore. Just settled into the chair he'd moved beside her bed, talking in low tones until sleep reclaimed her. Tonight was different. Tonight, the nightmare was worse. Not the container, but the memory of leaving him. The restaurant. His face. The ring box he never got to open. "I'm sorry," she sobbed into her hands. "I'm so sorry, I'm sorry." Valentina. Giorgio was there, kneeling beside the bed, hands finally touching, one on her shoulder, one cupping her face. "What are you sorry for?" "Everything. Leaving you. Hurting you. I didn't want to. I had to. Had to." His thumb brushed her tears. "What does that mean?" "The dam broke. My father," she choked out. "He found out about us. About the proposal you were planning. He said," her breath hitched. "He said if I didn't end it, he'd kill you. Make it look like an accident. I'd watch you die and know it was my fault." Giorgio went rigid. "Valentina. So I left. I disappeared. Changed my name, moved cities, stayed away from anything connected to him or you. Tears streamed down her face. I thought if you hated me, if you moved on, you'd be safe. I thought I was saving you. Saving me. His voice was hollow. He stood, paced to the window, hands fisting in his hair. Dio mio, Valentina. Do you know what your leaving did to me? I know I hurt you. Hurt me. He spun, and the anguish in his eyes stole her breath. I thought you were dead. For 6 months, I searched, called in every favor, tore apart every lead. Nothing. You vanished like you never existed. His voice cracked. So, I stopped looking. Started believing you left because you didn't love me. That I wasn't enough. Giorgio, no. And you want to know the irony? Bitter laugh. The man you left to protect, he died anyway. I became exactly what your father feared. Ruthless, powerful, untouchable. Built an empire on the ashes of who I used to be. He met her eyes. Your sacrifice didn't save me, Valentina. It destroyed me. The words hung between them like shattered glass. I didn't know, she whispered. I thought, if you hated me, you'd be alive. I chose your life over your love. And I chose to become a monster because losing you killed everything good in me. He sat heavily on the bed's edge, close enough to touch, but not touching. Your father won either way. You left to save me from his world, and I dove into it looking for a reason to feel anything other than empty. Valentina reached for his hand. He didn't pull away. I'm sorry, she breathed. For all of it. For leaving. For not trusting you to fight with me. For thinking I had to save you alone. I'm sorry too. His fingers laced through hers, gripped tight. For becoming someone you'd be afraid of. For not finding you before. His voice broke. Before they put you in that container. That wasn't your fault. Wasn't it? Dark laugh. Your father shipped you through my port, Valentina. Think about that. He put you in a container headed for my territory. Her blood went cold. What are you saying? Giorgio's eyes met hers, and she saw the truth there. He wanted me to find you. This was a message. A message. Valentina's voice shook. What kind of message? The kind that says he still owns you. Giorgio's jaw clenched. That even after 3 years, even after you sacrificed everything, he can still reach you, still hurt you. He wanted you to find me like that, dying. He wanted me to know what happens when someone takes what's his. Giorgio stood, paced, then stopped, shoulders dropping like the weight finally broke him. But here's what he didn't count on. I'm not letting you go. Not again. Not ever. The declaration hung in the air, raw and desperate. Giorgio. I know. He turned, and his eyes were wet. I know you probably can't forgive me for what I've become. I know the man you loved is gone. But I don't care. He crossed back to her, dropped to his knees beside the bed. I'll be whatever you need me to be. Protector, friend, stranger. Just don't leave again. Don't disappear. Valentina's heart cracked open. She touched his face, traced the new scars, the harder lines, the evidence of 3 years of pain. You're wrong, she whispered. About what? The man I loved isn't gone. She smiled through tears. He's right here. Older, scarred, maybe darker around the edges. But still him. Still the man who stays through nightmares. Who makes sure I eat. Who breaks when he sees me hurting. Valentina. She kissed him. Soft. Tentative. Tasting like tears and forgiveness. And 3 years of longing finally breaking free. Giorgio froze for a heartbeat. Then kissed her back like she was oxygen and he'd been drowning. His hands cradled her face, gentle despite the desperation. And when they finally broke apart, both were crying. I never stopped loving you, she breathed against his lips. Not for one single day. Me neither. His forehead pressed to hers. Every woman, every day, every moment. I compared them all to you. No one came close. Giorgio Lonza, are you saying you've been faithful to a woman who left you? Are you saying you're surprised? She laughed, actually laughed, and the sound filled the room with something it had never held. Joy. The next week was healing in ways medicine couldn't touch. Giorgio moved her into the main house. Not his room, but close. Breakfast together on the terrace. Her reading while he worked in his office. Evening walks through gardens that bloomed with early autumn roses. He taught her to play chess. She taught him to make proper espresso. They talked for hours about everything and nothing, rebuilding the foundation they'd lost. One morning, Valentina woke to find him in her doorway, coffee in hand, wearing soft gray sweats instead of his usual armor. "Morning," he said, almost shy. "You brought me coffee?" "Made it wrong 3 times. This one might be drinkable." She took a sip. "It was terrible." "It's perfect." His smile could have lit the city. That afternoon, in the garden, Giorgio pulled her close, just held her, face buried in her hair. "What is it?" she asked softly. "Just making sure you're real." His arms tightened. "That I didn't imagine saving you. That you're actually here." "I'm here." She turned in his embrace, hands on his chest, feeling his heartbeat. "I'm not going anywhere. Promise me." "I promise." He kissed her then, slow and deep, and full of everything they'd lost and found again. When they broke apart, both breathless, Valentina saw the man she'd fallen for staring back at her. Not the monster, not the Mafia boss, just Giorgio. Her Giorgio. "I love you," she said. Simple. True. "I love you too, Bellissima." He smiled. "Always have. Always will." For the first time in 3 years, Valentina felt whole. The call came at 3 a.m. Valentina awoke to shouting. Giorgio's voice, sharp with rage, coming from downstairs. She pulled on a robe and followed the sound to his office. The door was cracked open. Inside, Giorgio stood behind his desk, phone pressed to his ear, surrounded by his men. Dan held a tablet, face grim. "Don't care what it costs," Giorgio snarled. "Find him. Bring him to me alive. I want him conscious for what comes next." Ice flooded Valentina's veins. She pushed the door wider. Giorgio's eyes snapped to her. Something dark and terrible lived in them. The monster she'd feared, finally unleashed. "I'll call you back." He ended the call. "Valentina, go back to bed." "What's happening?" "Nothing that concerns you." "Giorgio." "Dan, show her out." "Boss," Dan started. "Now." Valentina stepped fully inside. "No. Tell me what's going on." Silence. Then Giorgio gestured to the tablet. Dan hesitated before handing it to her. Security footage. Grainy. A man dragging a woman, unconscious, bound, toward a shipping container. The timestamp. 4 weeks ago. The woman was her. The man was her father's head of security. Andrea. The uncle who'd taught her to ride a bike, who'd slipped her candy as a child, who'd looked her in the eye and locked her in that container. "We found him," Giorgio said quietly. Too quietly. 3 hours ago. He's been hiding in Newark, thinking he was safe. His smile was blade sharp. "He's wrong. What are you going to do? What do you think?" He moved around the desk, predator's grace. "He put you in that container. Left you to die. I'm going to make him beg for death before I grant it." "No." Her voice shook. "Giorgio, no. This isn't a negotiation. You can't. If you kill him. If you start this war with my father." "War?" His laugh was acid. "There's no war, amore. There's just retribution. Your father sent a message. I'm sending one back written in blood." "And what happens after?" Tears burn her eyes. "You murder Andrea. My father retaliates. More people die. Where does it end?" "It ends when everyone knows what happens when they touch what's mine." The words, "what's mine," struck like a slap. "Is that what I am?" Her voice went cold. "A possession? Something to defend like territory?" "That's not what I meant." "Then what did you mean?" She threw the tablet onto his desk. "Because it sounds like you're using me as an excuse to become the monster you've been wanting to be." Giorgio's face shuddered. "You don't understand this world. I understand you're choosing violence over me." Her voice cracked. 3 weeks ago, you held me while I died. You promised to be better. Now you're planning torture and murder, and..." She stepped back. "You haven't changed at all." He hurt you. Each word was ground glass. He locked you in darkness for weeks. Left you to starve. To die alone. And you want me to what? Forgive him? Let go. I want you to choose US over revenge. She was crying now. I want you to be the man I fell in love with, not the one my father created. Maybe they're the same man. He slammed his hand on the desk. Maybe this is who I've always been, and you were just too blind to see it. Then maybe I was wrong. The words came out broken. Maybe you can't be saved. Maybe you don't want to be. Something in his expression crumbled. Valentina, I left you once to protect you from this life. She backed toward the door. You became it anyway. And now you want me to watch you destroy yourself for revenge. She shook her head. I can't. I won't. So what? You're leaving? Again. I'm choosing myself this time. Tears streamed down her face. Because loving you is killing me. She turned and ran. Behind her, she heard glass shatter, his fist through the window, his roar of anguish. But he didn't follow. And somehow, that hurt most of all. Giorgio sat in his office for 3 hours, blood dripping from his knuckles onto mahogany. The room was destroyed, desk overturned, bottles shattered, the chair she'd sat in countless times now broken against the wall. His men had scattered after the first thrown glass, leaving him alone with his rage. Except rage had burned out an hour ago. Now there was just hollow. His phone buzzed. Dan, Andrea's location confirmed. Awaiting your order. 1 word. That's all it would take. 1 word. And Andrea would scream until his voice gave out. 1 word. And Valentina's father would know the cost of touching her. 1 word. And Giorgio would prove her right. That he was the monster she feared. His thumb hovered over the screen. Maybe you can't be saved. Maybe you don't want to be. Her voice echoed in his skull. Broken. Defeated. Done. The same voice that had whispered I love you in the garden 3 days ago. Giorgio's hand shook. 3 years ago, losing her had destroyed him. Turned him into this. Cold. Ruthless. Violent. He'd built an empire on the grave of who he used to be. Telling himself it was survival. But that was a lie. He'd become this because being the monster hurt less than being the man she'd left. And now, he had her back, breathing, alive, his, and he was choosing revenge over her. Again. Still, I'm choosing myself this time. She'd left to save him once. Now she was leaving to save herself. From him. Giorgio looked at his bloodied hands. These hands had killed, tortured, built empires on broken bones. But they'd also held her while she cried, made terrible coffee, traced her face like she was sacred. Which man did he want to be? The one who made her scream his name in terror? Or the one who made her whisper in love? His phone buzzed again. Boss. Giorgio closed his eyes. Saw her face, the way she'd looked at him in the garden. Not afraid. Not pitying. Just loving. Seeing him. The real him beneath the armor. Still him. Still the man who stays through nightmares. He typed slowly. Stand down. Let Andrea go. No retaliation. Dan's response was immediate. Boss, are you sure? No. He wasn't sure of anything except that killing Andrea meant losing Valentina forever. And he'd already lost her once. He couldn't survive it again. Giorgio stood, glass crunching under his shoes, and walked upstairs. Her door was closed, locked probably. He didn't knock. Just sat against the wall beside it, head tilted back. I called it off, he said at the door. Quiet. Broken. Andrea lives. No revenge. No war. His voice cracked. You were right. I was using you as an excuse to be what I've always been afraid I was. Silence from inside. Maybe she was asleep. Maybe she wasn't listening. He kept talking anyway. My father used to say love makes you weak. That caring about someone gives them power to destroy you. He laughed bitterly. He was right. You destroyed me, Valentina. When you left, when I found you dying, both times, you shattered me completely. His hand pressed flat against the door. But here's what he was wrong about. Being destroyed by you is still better than being whole without you. His throat burned. I don't want revenge if it costs me you. I don't want power if you're not there to see it. I don't want to be this man anymore. He heard movement inside. Footsteps. I'm choosing you, he whispered. Over rage, over pride, over everything I've built. You asked me to be better. I'm trying. I'll spend the rest of my life trying if you let me. The lock clicked. The door opened. Valentina stood there, eyes red, face blotchy, beautiful and broken and there. You let him go? Her voice was small. Really, really. He stayed seated, looking up at her. He'll face justice eventually. Legal justice. But not my hands. Not if it means losing you. She slid down the doorframe to sit across from him. Close but not touching. That must have killed you, she said softly. Almost. He smiled sadly. But losing you would have finished the job. They sat in silence, two people torn apart, slowly learning how to be whole. I'm scared, Valentina finally whispered. That you'll choose violence again. That I'll lose you to this world. That love won't be enough. I'm scared too. He reached across the space between them, palm up. But I'd rather be scared with you than safe without you. She stared at his hand, scarred, bloodied, shaking slightly. Then she took it. One more chance, she breathed. But Giorgio, I need you to mean it. I need you to choose us every single time. I will. He lifted her hand, kissed her knuckles. Every day. Every choice. You. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. She pulled him across the threshold into her room, into her arms, and they held each other like the world was ending. Maybe it was. Or maybe it was just beginning. 6 months later, Valentina stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows of Giorgio's office. Their office now, watching autumn fade into winter. The city sprawled below, lights beginning to twinkle as dusk settled. Behind her, she heard the familiar sound of Giorgio ending a call. Different now. His voice firm but not cold, commanding but not cruel. That was the lawyer, he said, arms sliding around her waist from behind. Your father's sentencing is next week. 15 to 20, minimum. Legal justice. Not bullets. Not blood. It had taken months, testimony, evidence, cooperation with federal investigators. Giorgio had handed over everything. Shipping records, communications, proof of her father's trafficking operations. The empire her father built was ashes now. But no one had died for it. How do you feel? Giorgio asked softly, chin resting on her shoulder. Free. She turned in his arms, hands sliding up his chest. For the first time in my life, actually free. He smiled. The real one, the one reserved only for her. Good. She studied his face. Still sharp, still intense, but softer around the edges now. He'd stepped back from the violent side of his business, restructuring everything. Some of his men had left, unwilling to follow a boss who chose legal over lethal. The ones who stayed were loyal to the man, not the monster. Do you regret it? She asked. Changing everything. Every day, he admitted. Then kissed her forehead. For about 5 seconds. Until I wake up next to you and remember why I did it. Smooth. I try. His hands framed her face. Valentina Totti, I have a question. Her heart stuttered. Oh. From his pocket, he pulled a small velvet box. The same one from 3 years ago. She recognized it instantly. I've been carrying this since the night you left, Giorgio said, voice rough with emotion. Couldn't throw it away. Couldn't look at it. Just kept it. Like if I held on to it long enough, you'd come back. Tears blurred her vision. I know we've done everything backwards, he continued. I know we've broken and rebuilt a dozen times. I know I'm still figuring out how to be the man you deserve. He opened the box, a diamond catching the last light of day. But I also know I want to spend the rest of my life trying. Giorgio, marry me, Bellissima. His eyes shone. Not because I'm afraid of losing you. Not because I need to possess you. But because choosing you every day for the rest of my life sounds like the closest thing to redemption I'll ever find. She was crying fully now, the ugly kind, the kind that came from joy too big to contain. Yes, she sobbed. Yes, yes, 1,000 times yes. He slid the ring on her finger, perfect fit, like it had always belonged there, and kissed her like she was air and prayer and everything sacred. When they broke apart, both laughing through tears, Valentina pressed her forehead to his. We're really doing this, she whispered. Starting over? Not starting over. He smiled. Just choosing better. Together. Through the window behind them, the city lit up completely. Millions of lives, millions of stories, most of them messy and complicated and beautifully imperfect. Like theirs. Two broken people who'd nearly destroyed each other. Learning that sometimes love means letting go of who you were to become who you're meant to be. Sometimes the person who shatters you is the only one who can make you whole. And sometimes Dying in a shipping container leads to being found by the one person who can bring you back to life. Valentina looked at her ring, then at Giorgio, her former fiancé, her savior, her monster, her man. "I love you," she said simply. "I love you too." He pulled her close. "Forever this time." "Forever," she agreed, and meant it. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe and be part of a community that cherishes unforgettable tales like this one. Your support means more than you know. It fuels the creation of even more stories that speak to the heart. So, whether you're watching from your TV or your phone, take a moment to join us. Every like, every subscription, every share helps us continue bringing these stories to life. Thank you for being a part of this journey.